Bonjour. Do you believe in signs? I certainly do. And this sign kept coming at me again and again and again and again. And I've been telling friends for a while, and I thought that I wanted to share with you in case you're looking for a personal, professional, spiritual sign. I just want you to know that you are exactly where you are supposed to be and learning what you're supposed to learn. Let me explain and let me tell you this crazy story. So I have a friend. Her name is Maria Mercator, and she is a personal, professional, and spiritual friend of mine. And if you Google Maria, you'll see that she was this big time CBS talent executive. And Maria, to me, was a soul sister. Personally, she was fighting several different cancers for over 2 decades. And she was somebody that just lived life to the fullest. The last time I saw Maria was at the Asian American Journalists Association. As a journalist, I've been going to these journalism association conferences for several years, and year after year, I just have a little chat. I'd have a little chat with her, and I got to know Maria more and more and more throughout the years. And the last time I saw Maria was at the Atlanta convention in the hotel lobby, and she gave me this giant, enormous hug, and she was like, "Twan, it's so good to see you." And she's like, "How is your heart? How is your sister? How is your niece and your nephew?" And she said, "I read all of your blogs and videos and see all your videos, and I want you to know that I've been praying for your family." I had written a blog and did this short video about how to talk to your young kids about tragedies and specifically suicide. And my brother in law had taken his own life. And it was one of the hardest things me and my family had to endure. And so, as a journalist, I did a bunch of research, interviewed, and talked to several friends who were trained and licensed psychologists and psychotherapists, just so that I knew that the information and the conversation that I was having with my niece and my nephew and their friends were good for their mental health. So Maria saw that and she said, "You know what, Tuan? I've been praying for you, and I have to tell you something. I think you should really get back on air." And my visceral reaction was like, "No, I've done it for about 10 years. I was a TV reporter and I'm done with news." And she said, "No, no, no, no. Meet me in the lobby tonight. Let's have a drink and chat." Y'all know I don't drink, so I had a bubbly water. But Maria and I chatted that night, and she said, "I'm not talking about news. I could get you on air as a correspondent like that." She goes, "But what I'm talking about is your gift for recharging people, lifting, gifting, and shifting them, like uplifting them." And she said, "Every time after I chat with you or am around you, I just feel better." And she says, "That is your gift, and you have to share this with the world. You got to get back on air and be seen and share this." And so on the DL, she and I had been working on different ways to get me under the CBS tent and just other ways, just brainstorming ways to get me back potentially on air and sharing wisdom about life and style, and how to elevate your life. Well, shortly after that, the world was on hold, and the pandemic's pause gripped us hard. And Maria, I found out, passed away due to complications with COVID in the hospital. Then fast forward, because of personal, professional, and familial obligations, I was never able to go to France, and I'd always wanted to go to Paris. And I was attending the Maison et Objet, which means house and objects in French, and it is the biggest interior design conference in the world that happens twice a year. And I went to the one this past January of 2024. And I remember the first day going to this conference, kind of like a new kid in school, thinking, oh my God, this is kind of like the Asian American Journalists Association conferences that I had gone to many, many, many years and given back to many, many, many years and had many, many friends and personally and professionally. And this year, I just remember thinking, I have a couple acquaintances, but I have no friends and I have no idea what I'm doing here. And I thought about several friends, and for a few months, I had thought about Maria Mercator. And that specific day, I thought about Maria a lot and wishing that I would just somehow run into her or see her or feel her or something. And I literally looked up in uh, to the ceiling of my boutique hotel, and I was like, Maria, give me a sign. I'm writing a book on elevating your style, and I'm feeling really guilty that I'm taking all this time off and just kind of being a flaneur. Flaneur in French means to wander aimlessly without a care in the world and without a destination, which I think is good for your soul, especially if you're a creative. So I said, give me a sign that I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path in life. And that day, I went to this book launch of a friend, Lisa, an acquaintance at the time, Lisa Straprans, and she has this book on the soul of design. Appropriate, because she is one of the most soulful human beings I know. And when I went to La Palette, it's a beautiful, amazing, historic cafe and restaurant in Saint-Germain in France, in Paris. She had her book launch there, and I attended, and I was super excited for her. I showed up, and she introduced me to these two women, Camille and Anne, her two friends. And I was chatting with Camille, and Camille was saying that she had been an interior designer in the New York and Hamptons area for several decades, and Anne said that she was retired and she paints oil paintings for fun. And that was it. That's all we talked about professionally. And we talked about our personal lives and things that we were interested in. And we just had a really amazing soul to soul. I just love that when you just meet someone or some people and you just feel this immediate connection. I believe it's a past life thing, it's a universe thing. It's exactly what you're supposed to be doing and needing that day and that moment. So we had a beautiful chat, and then we went on our merry way, chatting with other people, and then it got crowded, y'all. So I went to say goodbye to everyone that I met, and I went to Camille and Anne, and I said, it's really crowded, and I don't really like crowds, so I am going to check out some boutiques. It was very good to meet you. And they were like, well, we want to go too. It's really crowded, and we think it would be fun going to check out some boutiques. So shall we go together? And I was like, oui, let's go. So we go for 2 hours and we are playing like little kids, looking at French porcelain, beautiful textiles and fabrics, all the stuff. And we were at a furniture store, a Parisian furniture store. And I mean, I remember us looking at like amazing, having fun looking at amazing salad tongs for $1,600 and just like fun, unique, and chic things. And towards the tail end of our 2 hours, Camille was like, so Tuan, do you want to continue doing interior design? What do you think is next? And I just said, I don't know. I'll just see how things unfold. And she said, you know what? In these 2 hours, just seeing you connect with all these vendors and artisans and seeing how they respond to you and your fun personality, she's like, I think you should have your own show, like doing some sort of design meets TV, sharing these artisans with the world. And she said, you have such a unique personality and you're so fun that the world needs to see um, your energy and feel your energy. And I said, that's interesting. Maria Mercator, a dear friend of mine, told me the same thing. And Anne says, what? Maria Mercator? That's a very, very unique name. Does she work at CBS? And I was like, yeah. And she said, well, I was a former producer at the network. at CBS back in the day, and Maria was my intern and became a really good friend of mine through the years. And then we had a moment. Tears streamed down our faces, and she was like, "Oh my gosh." And I said, "Oh my gosh," because that day I remember thinking, "Gosh, Maria, give me a sign. Maria, this is like the AAJA convention, except for interior design instead of journalism. Like, what the what?" So we had a good cry about it, shared some stories about Maria, and it was just a very special moment. I've been thinking about you a lot, Maria, and my message to everyone watching today or listening or feeling like they're lost, like they need a personal, professional, spiritual shift or change, that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Hang in there. And this is your sign. So until next time, y'all. And to Maria, love and miss you, girl. Cheers.